welcome to RCKicks. On today's show we'll be mainly focusing on the Strikers. That's the two Strikers that I have. One is the RCKicks Restoration Striker project and the other is going to be the giveaway Striker. Now, I've been working on these at the same time as doing some videos that you've probably already seen, which was the project for the CC02. But in between doing this, I was actually working on the Strikers. So I'm coming at you from the future of the video that you're about to watch. But it ended up being very bitty and there was different things going on at different times, so I needed to get certain parts sent off to be professionally painted, so I was rushing to get those done because he's got a slot open for me and he's been holding that slot, but I was running out of time, so I had to bring that forward while I was building this. So I've got lots of different footage from lots of different days spaced over about a week or so. So I'm going to try and put it into some sort of order so it kind of makes sense. But I needed to do this to try and explain what you're actually going to see. But what we did was we stripped down both Strikers, repainted them all, and then we will get around to putting them all back together again, which is where we are right now. Right, roll the tape. Okay, so I've removed the top section of my Striker, took all the decals off of it, rubbed it all down and sprayed it over in the Tamiya TS26, which is the correct paint for this car. I masked off the driver area because I'm getting a pro painter to paint up the driver figure and cockpit area for me. So I boxed that up and that's now been sent off to be done. While I'm waiting for that to come back, the next step is to basically strip down both cars completely, and that gives me the opportunity to paint the chassis as well, because all this needs to be painted. So to do it properly, you've got to dismantle these cars. Plus it gives me the opportunity to restore these to a much higher level. After that, I need to dig through all my parts bin, as I've been slowly collecting parts for a Striker, because of my original plan was I wouldn't be able to get a really good one, so I've been buying new parts so that I could restore one. But this one is in pretty good condition, so it doesn't need much, but I can definitely upgrade some of the parts to brand new mint parts. So that's the plan. So we're going to strip down this car, and then after that we're going to strip down this one and then remove all the decals and get them prepped up for paint. Stripping these things down doesn't take any time at all. I think it's like 25 minutes to totally strip down a Striker. Now, if you're thinking about getting one of these yourself, the things to look out for, obviously the chassis must be intact. If the chassis is cracked or damaged, well, you're going to have to look at bonding it yourself, and it's not quite the same, so you might as well just walk on by. Another thing that makes this car expensive to restore is obviously the decals. Now, decals for this car are getting rare, and people are charging ridiculously high amounts of money for them. Now, the cars currently don't trade for that much money, so you would be sinking about 70% of the value of the car in just trying to replace the stickers. So that's something to be thinking about. So try and buy the best you can. When you're painting these up, obviously they're not polycarbonate, so you are spraying from the outside, not from the inside. What I found when I was painting these is you've got to go slow. It's very easy to create ripples and imperfections in the paint. I ended up doing about 20 layers of paint, slowly applying more and more and more, and wet sanding to get it as smooth as possible. So that takes quite a bit of effort. So there you have it, 26 minutes to strip down the Striker. So it's a very basic kit. Obviously stripping down is a lot faster than putting back together again, but I think you could probably build this kit within 2 hours. As you can see, this is the chassis, which is very unique to the Striker, and you can see the fundamental design weakness. It's I don't even know how it got off the drawing board. You can see the amount of flex, all the leverage on this little part here. Now Tamiya attempted to improve this by putting some little extra bits and pieces on it, but yeah, any frontal impact and this just snaps off here. So a lot of Strikers have bit the dust because of that. Chassis is obviously difficult to find. Also, they crack along the backs as well, so that's another thing. So yeah, you can get aftermarket strengthening modification brackets and things like that. Now this car is never going to be driven. This is going to be a shelf queen, so I'm not going to do anything. But if I ever get another one which I'm going to run, then I will definitely do the modifications, a bit like the Falcon. If you're going to run these, you need to do the modifications, otherwise you'll destroy your beautiful car. And if some of you don't remember, I bought one of these and had it shipped here, and it was even broken just from being inside the box. I'll put a link up here if you haven't seen that video already. So the next thing to do is give this a good wash. I've got sticker residue on the chassis, and then a light wet sanding, and then I will paint it up. Next thing to do is strip down the other one. I probably will do this off camera. It's exactly the same thing again, so I'll come back as soon as I finish stripping this one down. Okay, so I stripped all the cars down, bagged them all up and labelled them so I know what goes with what car. Next, I need to soak these chassis because there's lots of sticky residue left over from the original decals on them. Get all the muck off. Then I'm going to give them a light sanding, ready for paint. So that's the next job. So let's crack on. Well, after many hours stripping and scratching off and cleaning and applying more remover, I now have completely bare chassis and top, all ready to be painted again. So that's the plan for today. This one turned out that there was no paint on this one. This was exactly as it was before. So nothing really changed on that apart from a deep clean. But the other one actually was painted. I didn't think it was, but it had been painted. So I had to strip all the paint off the chassis. That took hours, which I hadn't planned for, but it came off okay, and it's all now nice and smooth, ready to be painted as well. So today's job, paint these two, mask off the driver section, and paint this one as well. I dug up all the parts, brand new parts that I had, that I'd been collecting over the last few months. They were all very dusty, so I've given them a good clean. Some of them had some old label stickers on them and things like that for prices and things, so I removed all those, and I've given them a bit of a clean. So they're just sitting here waiting to be finally polished and then put back on the car. So let's get the spray paint out, and hopefully these will spray up okay without any reactions. Okay, so I've cleaned all the parts and the chassis are all painted up, so that's all sorted. I've lacquered them, wet sanded them. So I'm going to build the RCKicks Striker first, and then after that I'm going to build the giveaway Striker, because I want to see what parts and bits and pieces I have so that I can keep the best bits for both cars. And then what I'm not using on mine that's good, I can then put onto this one. New tyres turned up today, which means I can put pretty much brand new tyres on the giveaway Striker as well, because I want the giveaway Striker to be as good quality as I can get it with the parts that I've got. But it turns out I've actually got quite a lot of parts. So yeah, right, let's crack on and get to the RCKicks Striker built. I've got my instruction manual. So, page 1. I have got original electronics for the giveaway Striker, so I'm putting them back in the car. Now the only thing that's missing is a controller itself, transmitter, and it needs a set of crystals, which I don't have. There was a damaged switch that I've ordered a replacement for, so that's coming. So hopefully I'll be able to fire it up and true up all the steering and things like that before I send it off to the winner. I will also be looking at getting some running footage for you, just to show you how it performs. Now don't expect miracles, because it's got friction shocks and it doesn't even have dampers shocks. Anybody who's looking to run one of these, I would definitely recommend upgrading the suspension. That's probably the first place I would start. Next, I would definitely look at doing some chassis modifications to protect that weak spot that I talked about earlier. Thanks to the Grasshopper 2, it's possible to get hold of new front and rear tyres, so that was a godsend. Also, certain parts that you would think would be very difficult, like bumpers, are actually quite easy to find. So I managed to find 2 brand new bumpers to put on both cars. Now, the correct kit motor for the Striker is the white end bell. Luckily, I still have both original motors for both cars, so I'm just going to leave those in. Now, I've never been a fan of the Striker, but after having 2 and spending a lot of time with them, I actually have started to warm to them. Now, they're not what you'd call brilliant RC cars, but in real life they're actually reasonably good looking. So I'm definitely going to keep one in the collection, and I'm quite happy with it.
Right, I've rebuilt the giveaway Striker, and no real problems at all with that one. It came out really nice. One thing I did learn after doing the first car that I applied to the second car is when you're fitting the rear swing arms, in the instructions it asks you to fit the diff first, then put these black plates in and then push it in. This puts a lot of pressure on this little white tab. If this little white tab snaps off, your chassis is toast. So on the second one, what I did was I actually put in the black posts, attached them all, and then slid in the diff and connected them all up as I did that, and it worked much better. It takes a little bit of time to get all the swing arms lined up, the drive shafts in, and have the ball joints lined up correctly, but once they're lined up, you just push it in and they clip into place, and it means you're not pulling on any of this side at all. So if you're restoring a Striker, definitely do that. It's much less stress on the chassis, because if you break that, you're looking at another chassis and they're super hard to find, and if you just spent ages restoring it and you snap it off, what a waste of all the paint and the effort you did. So next on the cars, I'm going to put the decals on this car and paint up the driver. The top section, like I said before, is still away being professionally painted. I painted all the white, it's just the driver section. So I'm waiting on that one. Now I've got a set of original decals which I'm going to put on mine, and I've got some MCI decals for the giveaway car. Now ideally, the car is so nice, I would rather put original stickers on it, but the decals that are online, people are asking insane stupid money for. So I'm still sending out a few messages trying to see if anyone's got some for normal money. Not talking about super cheap, just normal money. But people are now putting them up at the £75 for a set of decals, where you can buy a whole car for 100. So these people are living in a dream world. So obviously I'm not going to pay $100 for a set of decals. But ideally, I'd like to put originals on this if I can. So I'll give it a little bit of time. I've got to paint up the driver anyway. So that's next. So let's crack on and paint the driver up. Right, well there you go. I finally finished the giveaway Striker. I couldn't get hold of original decals with anything like a reasonable money point of view. So I just went with the aftermarket decals that I had. Being that I spent so much time painting up the body, I would recommend whoever wins this, that it'd be worth investing and spending the money and hunting around trying to get a reasonable deal on some original decals. But it still looks pretty sharp. Now, on the next episode, you're going to find out how to win this. But as a start, the best thing you can do is make sure that you are subscribed to RCKicks, and you've hit the notification bell so that you don't miss the following video on how you could be the new owner of this Striker. Anyway, thanks very much. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. The Striker.